Micro SaaS businesses, they're all the rage right now, and they offer niche software products. They're almost always product-led. They're almost always with a small, tiny team operating it, and almost always they're money-printing machines when done right. Now, I've done a lot of videos on building micro SaaS businesses. I'll link to the playlist below. But right now, with the advent of AI, GPT, and large language models, there are unique new opportunities for building wildly profitable micro SaaS businesses. So on this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what makes for a great micro SaaS and 3 concrete ideas that I have for amazing profitable micro SaaS businesses. Hopefully you'll either steal one of these ideas or you'll be inspired by one of these ideas to build your own micro SaaS business and accelerate your path to that next stage of growth. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you grow your SaaS businesses faster with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, if you're part of this community, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. Now, inside of the go-to-market program that I run with the founders that I work with on their go-to-market strategies, 50% are self-funded companies and 50% are venture-funded companies. And you'll notice I didn't use the word bootstrap, mainly because I don't really like that name. It almost makes it sound like it's lesser. Having worked with over 250 founders, half of whom are self-funded and half of whom are venture-funded, there's one thing I learned. SaaS businesses are incredible opportunities. And what makes for whether you should be venture-backed or you should fund it yourself really is a function of the size of opportunity you are going after. What that means is if you're going after a massive, huge market with a wildly differentiated product like maybe GPT-4 and ChatGPT, then you should raise venture capital because you want to capitalize on that as quickly as possible. However, if you're going after a very specific segment of the market, if you are being very specific on the specific tooling you're bringing, if it's a smaller market, you're better off self-funding it so you can keep all the profits to yourself. There's no right or wrong here. What matters is the size of the opportunity and the amount of funding that you need to actually capitalize on it. This is where micro SaaS businesses become really interesting. In this episode, I'm going to walk you through exactly what a micro SaaS business is and 3 concrete ideas that you can use or you can get inspired by to build your own self-funded, product-led, profitable software company. If you're a venture-backed and you're like, oh, this video is not for me, well, you never know. Maybe it'll inspire you to actually start a micro SaaS business. Because one thing for sure that I've seen, micro SaaS businesses can start very small and turn into massive SaaS companies as well. What starts off as a kernel of an idea can turn into something huge over time. So if you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. Let's get into principle number 0, which is exactly what makes for a great micro SaaS business. So micro SaaS business is what sets them apart, at least the great ones, from your normal SaaS company, is that they are super specific on their ICP. They're super specific and niche. They're also very, very specific about being a tool. They're not trying to be a platform. They're not trying to do anything and everything. All they're trying to do is solve a very specific problem as a software tool. And so typically they're tied to an important and urgent problem, and they solve just that piece of it in the course of the workday of whoever you are targeting in your ideal customer profile. One important caveat to this is almost every great micro SaaS business still has a daily use case. If your tool doesn't hook into something the worker or the employee or the person buying your software product uses every day or has a need for every single day, almost always they don't end up being that successful. And so what I've seen is with great micro SaaS businesses, they focus on a very specific ideal customer profile, even if it seems tiny. They come as a tool like, hey, we just do this one thing and we do it really well and we solve this important urgent problem. And it hooks into their daily use case so they can use that tool every single day to do their job very effectively. And lastly, almost all micro SaaS businesses are product led. Meaning there's no sales process involved. You kind of just try it out, or you pay up front and you swipe the credit card and you use the tool. And if you don't get value from it every single day, you just unsubscribe. There's literally no salespeople involved. And typically what I've seen work really well is around the $30 a month price point. If you can charge $30 a month as a tool for a daily use case, solving an important and urgent problem for a very specific niche of people, very, very specific ideal customer profile, you will have a great micro SaaS business. And I've used this formula countless times. My last company, Kader, which ended up raising money from Andreessen Horowitz, we ended up growing it out and we sold it to a market leader called Marketo. Started off as a micro SaaS business, no salespeople, swipe the credit card, purely product led. And over time, we realized there was a bigger idea to pursue, bigger problem to solve, and got bigger and bigger. And now sales engagement, which is the category that Kader started, is a $5 billion category in itself. So just because you're starting off as a micro SaaS doesn't mean you have to stay as a micro SaaS. So what ends up happening is you get customers tell you what more they want from the product, and all of a sudden it can graduate to a full platform, which is really, really powerful. But also at the same time, you can stay as a micro SaaS. There are plenty of sales engagement tools today that just are micro SaaS offerings. They're super tiny. They solve a very specific problem. They charge $30 a month. There's no salespeople. So there's different ways you can take this. And it really depends on what you want to do with your life and the type of business you want to build, the scale of problem you want to solve, and how you want to approach building a SaaS business. One of the reasons I love micro SaaS companies is for first-time founders, for founders just getting into software. This is a great way to start. You can start by creating a tool, you can solve a real need, you can charge for it, and you can build momentum, and then you can grow from there without having to seek funding initially, which is super, super powerful. So with that said, let's go into 3 key ideas, because I've done a bunch of micro SaaS videos in the past, and I'll link to the playlist below. You don't have to go anywhere right now. But what is particularly exciting is the idea of AI, which is taking the world with storm, because now it's real AI. You can use the large language models, you can use GPT-4, maybe 5, maybe 6, and depending on when you're watching this video, to actually create really compelling micro SaaS products. And the 3 ideas that I'm going to share with you is going to, 1, exemplify what makes for a good micro SaaS offering that follows these principles, but also they're, I think, really great ideas that you can run with or be inspired by. With that said, let's go into idea number 1. Idea number 1 for a micro SaaS offering that you can do is you can offer a curated data offering. And I'm gonna make these ideas a little bit abstract. They're gonna be very concrete in the implementation of it, but I'm gonna make them a little bit abstract so you can apply it in different ICPs. So you can kind of take this idea and say, oh, I want to solve this for this ICP that I know really well. That way it'll be more powerful for you and you're more likely to get more value from this video. But if you're getting value, smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. So for a curated data offering, basically what you're doing is you are going in and saying, hey, there's all these kinds of data, structured data, unstructured data all over the internet. What I'm gonna do is collect and curate all of this data from all over the internet, and I'm gonna make it available in a micro SaaS offering in a very, very neat tool. So it could be a little data grid, it could be even an Airtable that you start with, where you can sift and sort through the data, but you've curated that data, you've brought together that data, you've remixed that data. That alone, you could say, hey, I can charge $9 a month because I've taken the time to really pull in all this data for this specific group of people to help them use it every single day in their jobs. But the power of this, where you can really get to that $30 a month level, is leveraging AI. So let's just say you have this data flowing in and you're curating the data and you're remixing the data, maybe you're doing some calculations. Some interesting things can come out of this. The first thing that can come out of this is updates. Every single time data changes or there's some new data, you can send out a little alert through your micro SaaS offering in an email every single day, like, hey, here's what's new with the data set that we have been monitoring. The second thing that you can do is you can summarize. A lot of people are trying to search the world, sift through all this data for their specific verticals in their jobs and trying to make some sense of it. If you summarize for them and say, hey, based on all the data and the updates, here's a summary of what we're seeing, that can be $30 a month. And the last one that you can do is you can deliver insights. You can look at all of this data and you can start to do your own calculations, your own summaries, your own trends, and you can start to provide that as part of your offering. And this in itself doesn't need a lot of manpower. It's just pulling in the right data, running some algorithms, and doing these pieces using AI. You can funnel in your data set into GPT-4 or another model and start to generate summaries, start to generate updates, start to generate insights based on all this data that's coming in. Kind of like how you're going into ChatGPT today and it knows the entire world and it can answer a bunch of questions. You can start to create a more customized, curated data offering where you give them access to the data, the updates, the summaries, and the insights, some of it generated using AI, for $30 a month. Now, needless to say, I kept this a little abstract, and hopefully that's helpful. You could apply this paradigm to a lot of different ICPs. You can apply this paradigm to a lot of different users and employees, different daily use cases to solve their problem. And that's the power in this. You solve this very specific part of their workday where they're maybe researching something or keeping tabs of things, except now they use your tool to get the update every morning or the summary every morning or the updates every morning. That could be very, very powerful for a very specific group of people. And staying true to my promise, this could turn into something huge. It doesn't have to stay a micro SaaS, but it can start as a micro SaaS. That's idea number one for a micro SaaS idea right now in 2023 when I'm recording this video, especially with what I know about micro SaaS businesses and also with the advent of AI and all the tooling that is now available for little software companies to provide a lot of really powerful features. The second idea is to essentially create a content creation tool. Now, there are a lot of general content creation tools already coming out because of GPT, where you have these broad-based marketing platforms where you can create blog posts and ads and all of these things. Now, while those broad ones are great and they're there, you can get a lot more niche about this. Let's just say you want to target real estate agents on how they do Instagram posts for their listings on a consistent basis. That's super niche, but you're targeting a specific ICP. That's something they're going to have to do every single day. And it's actually a part of an urgent and important problem because if they don't do that effectively, they don't sell the houses that they have, or they don't get enough pipeline, they don't get enough leads. You can get very specific with this. And the idea around this is your tool can ask your ICP a set of questions, right? And they can fill these out in little text boxes. You can then build your own model and use GPT. And you can then spit out a bunch of really interesting pictures and posts just specific to this niche. That's kind of interesting, right? And I use real estate agents as an example, but you can think about who has to create content every single day. A lot of people. If you can get specific about those people, let's just say real estate agents or PR people or demand generation marketers for B2B SaaS companies. You can get super specific around this and say, just for those people, I'm gonna help them create really, really great content. I'm gonna zoom into that and create really interesting output for them. And that could be a micro SaaS tool that they use every single day for $30 a month, because every single day for about $1 a day, you are adding value to their daily lives and the jobs they need to do on a daily basis. Are you starting to see the power in this? And again, I'm keeping this a relatively abstract so you can apply it to your specific ICP so you can get super niche, and then again, you can grow from there. Before I go to the third one, I'm really excited about the third one. It's one of my favorites. That's why I left it towards the end. Let me just pause here for a second. Are you starting to see the power in this? Are you starting to see the power in leveraging this micro SaaS model and all these new technologies available through GPT and large language models and AI to really bring interesting solutions to the market for very specific groups of people? You can start to see how this can start into a great business. And then from there, you can keep taking the profits home every month, or you can raise money. It's up to you. You're starting to see the power in this. Can I just get yes in the comments below? That way I know you're with me. And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just really, really loves it when you do that. And so do we put a lot of love in these videos. Also, you're in that stage where you are pre-product, you're a pre-founder, you're starting to figure out, well, how do I build a SaaS company? And then I encourage you to check out my 10-point SaaS business checklist. You don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below. Let's go to idea number 3, and also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really likes it when you do that. Idea number 3 is an age-old category for micro SaaS businesses, and it's truer than ever, and it's needed more than ever, even though there are millions of them out there. And it's essentially a personal productivity tool. That's how I would bucket this. And this falls under the bucket of, you could do a to-do list, you could do a notes application, you could do a goals application, you name it. There's a whole bunch of personal productivity actions that people do on a daily basis to manage their personal lives and their professional lives. And most of the time, these to-do lists, these note-taking applications, these goals applications, is not really a personal use case. They want to be better in their career, and therefore they use it. And trust me, there's always a market for one more to-do list. Everyone wants a new to-do list. Why? Because their current to-do list shows them what they haven't done, and moving to a brand new to-do list with an empty list that they can start from makes them feel good. So they'll always try a new one. Could churn be high? Maybe. Depends on how good your to-do list is. Creating personal productivity tools can be really interesting because now you're not just creating a to-do list. Let's just say you have your standard app with a bunch of to-dos. Or you have a notes app with a bunch of notes that you've taken. Or you have a thing of, a goals bucket that you create. Any number of these things can fall under this personal productivity cloud, essentially. Because there's AI now, in addition to the to-do list, you can take all this data and you can feed it into GPT or any other model that you choose to work with. And then out of that, you can follow the same model. You can start to deliver some insights. It's like, hey, TK, you were productive last week. Or when the weather is great, you are productive. Or when you work out, you are productive. Like, you can do some insights based on all the data you're collecting. You can also start to summarize what you've done in the past week based on the to-do list. You can also do predictions, saying, hey, over the last 6 weeks, you did these items and you got them done. In this coming week, here are things you can consider. Or every time it's the 4th week of the month, you tend to do these things, or you're behind on this goal, you should set this goal. You can do any number of these things based on the data that you have. Again, could you charge $30 a month for that? Maybe, depending on how powerful these insights or these summaries or these predictions are. That's the power of this. These are 3 concrete ideas. I left them a relatively abstract so you can apply it to any ICP, any specific niche, any urgent and important problem, and offer it as a tool. And the best part about this is all of these are designed to be part of a daily use case that you can charge real money for. And best of all, once it starts to gain momentum, once you start printing money, these can become money printing machines, you can always go to investors and say, I have this thing that just prints money. And turns out, based on my customer conversations, there's a bigger vision here and I want to raise money for it. That's what ended up happening with my last company. And that was pretty cool. Or right now I operate about 2 micro SaaS businesses and they just print money every single month. It's really cool. I practice what I preach. And so you can also just let it just print money, whether it's as a side project, a passive income stream, or it's part of your main business. It's up to you. And that's the power of micro SaaS businesses. So to recap, here is what makes for a great micro SaaS business. You go after a specific ICP with a specific niche. You are creating a tool, not a full platform, that solves a really urgent and important problem that's part of their daily use case. And it's product led so people can try out the tool and swipe their credit card and get value from it and keep using it because they use it every single day. Here are 3 concrete ideas that you can develop and apply it using these principles. You can create a curated data offering. You can create a content creation offering that's super niche. You can create a personal productivity tool that uses AI and all 3 of these ideas to actually deliver updates, summaries, insights, and predictions to really take it up one more level. And that's the power of living in this moment. It's an incredible time to be building micro SaaS companies. And now you know the exact principles to follow. These are battle hardened by me over 15 years in being in SaaS. You can follow these principles to build your own. Now you know exactly what you need to do. What you may not know is if you've got an idea, you don't know how to stress test it. This is why I created my 10-point SaaS business checklist. It walks you through 10 key questions that you can answer to stress test your idea and start to develop it in the market without wasting months building the wrong product. If you want to grab a copy of the checklist, it's completely free. Just go to tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. Super easy. I'll also link to it below. Also linked below, you will get a link to our playlist, which has all of the videos I've done around building micro SaaS companies. You can binge watch them and understand all the principles. You can tie it back to these concrete ideas, which are brand new right now, given AI, creating massively new opportunities for building profitable micro SaaS businesses. If you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. If you have a fellow founder, a fellow team member that will get value from this video, if you're part of a Slack group, a WhatsApp group, please share this video in there. We just love to help as many SaaS founders as possible. That's why I create these videos, put a lot of love into these. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business, whether it's a micro SaaS business or a massive SaaS business, whether it's self-funded or venture-backed. I work with founders of all sizes, anywhere from pre-revenue all the way upwards of 100 million in revenue. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon, but you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is gonna be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside that SaaS business checklist. Link is below. Take care, everybody. It is actually my favorite. There we go.